Welcome everyone. Today I have a new guide for the Infernalist Summoner for patch 0.2. So this is going to be a theory crafted guide which will go through some of the concepts and also ideas of making the Infernalist work with the summonings and also 50% extra damage as fire with the Spectres. Now there's a lot of data that we do not currently have, especially what are the best Spectres. But at this moment, we can look into the potential of the Infernalist being one of the strongest summoners. And of course, I do still plan to go with a Lich as a summoner, but I want to theory craft what can be done with the Infernalist. So if you guys are not sure, I'm sure most of you guys have seen this part. So the Infernalists have gotten a number of nerfs similar to a lot of the other Ascensions. And the Infernal Hell no longer provides us with a 20% damage reduction, and there's quite a few things that was changed with the Infernalist. But what we're looking at is going to be this part. So the same body which, while on high Infernal Flames, provide you and also your allies with 50% damage as fire. So this was previously 20%, now this will be 50%. Well, that's a pretty sizable buff. So if we come over here to the unupdated stats, this is 20% over here. And if we do pick this perk for the Infernalist Summoner as a fire summoner, we'll have 50%. This would allow us to open up the Infernal Flame, and then this will allow us to have the 50% extra damage as fire for the summoning units. During this time, we also get a bit of maximum mana. It's not the biggest deal. We also have enough of the 4 points to come over here to have increasing of maximum spirit per 25 maximum health. So if I was to run an Infernalist extra fire damage summoner, I would have went this path. I'll still come over here for the first 2 rank, and this will give me the extra spirit. Now, if I come over to my character in the season 1, close to 2,800 life, and this amount of life actually means I'll be getting around 112 bonus spirit coming from stacking life. So basically, this is what we want as the Infernalist Summoner at the early stage of the game, and in the later stage of the game, as we find more spirit and also have ways of controlling our mana, so it's most and also majority of the time on high Infernal Flames, we'll be gaining the new updated nodes, which will give us the 50% damage as fire. So yes, before we do anything, let's come over to a few of the testings. What do I mean by high Infernal Flames? So if I move myself over here, I did a quick testing. It seems to be doable, and it takes a little practice to not overdo it, but it's definitely doable. So here, if you notice over here, I have stacked quite a bit of mana, and this is not Infernal Flames. You can see it's close to 2,000 Infernal Flames, 1,946. So if I start to cast Flame Wall, you can see that this is actually a little slower to build up the Infernal Flame. Once you're over about 60 to 70% of your Infernal Flame, this icon actually comes up. And this is the icon that now shows that you and also your minions will do extra damage as fire. It says 20% at the moment, but after the patch update, this should go to 50%. And I will be testing this on my current Infernalist in the previous league to see how powerful this is compared to the Lich Summoner. So once you go over the mark, of course, you lose all your Infernal Flames. I did a little more testing over here, and after taking my minions away, you can see that I am testing the Infernal Flames, and also it is doable to keep the Infernal Flame high, but every 2.5 seconds, you do want to cast a spell to top it up, so it always stays high. And on the top of the corner, you can see that this will give us the high Infernal Flame constantly. I won't say you have this up all the time, because sometimes you'll miss a casting and then your Infernal Flame would drop down, or sometimes you overcast and then it goes over the limit and then resets to 0. What I did notice is, of course, if you cast a higher costing spells like the curses, this will build up Infernal Flame very fast. And within 2 seconds, I have enough Infernal Flames. And now I just need to make sure every few seconds before this drops to 0, I press the skill button and cast my Firewall. And casting the Flame Wall, that's pretty much it. Every 2.5 seconds, I'm casting one Flame Wall to keep this high. So that is gonna be the major thing you'll be doing if you want to play the extra damage as fire Infernalist with the latest patch changes. Now, how good would this be? That's a good question. A lot of build and a lot of setup has been nerfed. So the next question is, how do we make this work? So now that we want extra damage as fire, it is quite obvious that we do want to have additional damage as fire, and we will be debuffing enemies with flame ability, with heightened curse of course. And while casting the flame walls, you can still be auto-summoning your raging spirits. And even though you're casting your flame walls every 2 seconds around that time, your raging spirits can now act as a debuffer to have fire exposure and also strip away. And this will help you to have fire exposure onto enemies with amplified by 30%. Of course, as for summoning units, I have not decided which path I want to take. Well, of course, we don't have the data. I haven't been able to find the exact data for Path of Exile 2 with monster modifiers. I believe the data I'm currently seeing now with the monster modifiers, it is from Path of Exile 1. And you can see in the previous monsters, which we can revive as Spectres, I am seeing a number of monsters, and likely this will be the case for PoE 2, that they are monsters with extra damage as fire. Now, I'm not sure if those are super rare or much harder to find modifiers for the monsters, but if we can find monsters with additional damage as fire, extra damage as fire, this is something that can potentially work. So if I search around, and you can see this Skills projectile, there's another one, 35% extra physical damage as extra fire damage. So there is a number of Path of Exile modifiers, but we're not sure if this will come into Path of Exile 2 at this stage. So I'm leaving my options open. My to-go plan, if I was to start off, as an Infernalist, I'll still run the Skeleton Snipers with Fire Infusion, Martial Tempo, Scatter Shot, or anything that provides me with more damage. And there's a lot of support that can go over here. And after that, I will be comparing the damage coming from the Skeleton Snipers versus the Spectres, and I'll be looking for a number of different Spectres that can be used in comparison for the damage setup. So the basic setup is straightforward. If you want to have a few Skeleton Warriors, those can be the mid shield. If you want to be keeping your Infernal Flame high, casting your curses, and then maintaining with Firewall or Flame Wall will be the best way. And because we're doing extra fire damage, having fire exposure and also strip away will be the way to go. We can also be having our Pain Offering for bonus damage, and any mobility utility spells like Shield Charge or Blink can work. Now, in terms of the pathing choices, there isn't that much crazy, and I haven't done a detailed one. So I'm using my previous setup coming from the Lich Summoner, directly transitioning into the Infernalist Summoner. Now, I do want to notice, so previously on the previous video, we are stacking mana and we're recovering mana on kill. I have tested this on the Infernal Flame Summoner. Unfortunately, the mana stacker does not work over here, so you won't be using this whole setup. You just use a standard summoner setup, and you can still go with bonus spirit, you can go with energy shield, chaos invocation setup, or you can just go with a standard all resist, chaos resist, and also go into the maximal life setup. So that is something to be tested again, and of course you can have unique items that provide you with even more reservation for even more summons. The more summons we have, the extra damage with fire will become even more powerful. Now, as you guys can see, this is definitely a theory crafter build in progress. Because I will be looking for the best summoning monsters or monster modifiers, you can see in Path of Exile 1 there is a lot of monsters modifiers. And I kind of want to capture the best. Once we find the best, then we can see what are the combination for the Spectres that can be powerful and what are the monsters that can be revived. And then we can see if we want to go with the Spectres as the main summon units or the supporting units. That said, I won't say this is the easiest way to play the game, because as a summoner, we kind of want to be lazy. You don't want to be pressing buttons all the time. And in order to keep the Infernal Flame on high, this will take some practice. But the cost versus the reward. If you're in the early stage of the game, if you're trying to find additional ways of getting more damage, or if you just want to try the newly buffed Infernalist, I think this can definitely work. The same body over here, from 20% to 50%, it's something that is quite sizable that can pack a lot of damage, especially a lot of things that nerfed. So let me know what you guys think about this concept of going with extra damage as fire damage with Infernalist. And if you guys have any thoughts of ways of maintaining an Infernal Flame or any tips in this setup, please let me know. Because once I play the Lich, I'll come back to my previous season account and start testing on the Infernalist with the Infernal Flame setup. Now, hopefully you guys found today's video helpful. Again, a big thank you to everyone on YouTube, especially our supporters, and also those of you guys who's been supporting me on Patreon as well. And we do have a new feature on the Mattjestic YouTube channel. If you click onto this, you can become a member. Yes, I've added this just recently, and this will allow you to have early access to videos that is posted a few hours or even half a day earlier if you want to watch those videos a little early. But yes, this will cost money. So please be aware the membership will cost money. And if you do want to watch videos normally, those videos will still be available after 6 to 12 hours, normally on the time we post those videos. And I'll be aiming to post at least one Path of Exile video a day. And this will be including guides, tips, news update, and also the latest tricks that is discovered on both the English and also Chinese community to keep you guys updated. And if you like those videos, make sure you leave a nice comment and also leave a like for those videos. Now, before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on our official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is going to be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.